right, for Buckeyes Now, I'm Brendan Gulick, joined by Eddie Marotta and Adam Prescott as we break down what we think was perhaps a little bit more par for the course for the Ohio State Buckeyes when they knocked off Rutgers this past weekend in our virtual simulation by a final score of 59-0. Guys, I think perhaps Ohio State fans are probably taking a little deeper breath this week after not quite so much of a scare against one of the bottom feeder teams in the league. Adam, it wasn't quite 80, what you had hoped for last week, but hopefully 59-0 was probably to your liking.
Say 59-0 gets the job done. Opener in the horseshoe. Rutgers probably just the medicine Ohio State needed to get its feet under them, play more of a complete game. Trey Sermon is still running.
Was 80 the spread we were looking for to be able to retire to Tahiti like we talked about last week?
That would have been Rutgers' money line. Shout out to anyone that felt the need to bet Rutgers on the money line. That ticket has been in the garbage since the middle of the first quarter. So, tough go of it for Greg Schiano's squad. He begins his second tenure with the Scarlet Knights. Rutgers on their 11th offensive coordinator in 11 seasons. So 0 points today. They got to start figuring it out a little bit.
It was ugly. I mean, it was an absolute bloodbath. For those who maybe didn't catch the game, Trey Sermon ran for 308 yards on 19 carries. He was 6 yards shy of breaking the school record for rushing yards in a game. But we did have a school record broken. It was on the other side of the ball where Jonathan Cooper planted Noah Vedral 7 times. He sacked the Rutgers quarterback 7 of the 10 Ohio State sacks. There was getting to a point in the game where I was starting to wonder, is this game better offensive or defensive? And I honestly, it went all the way to the end where you start thinking, boy, that's actually a legitimate question. I don't know.
Yeah, out of the 10 sacks that Ohio State recorded, Jonathan Cooper had 7 of them. He also had 10 tackles in the game. How about 9 of those tackles were tackles for loss? So he was getting into the backfield at will. I don't know if I've ever heard a stat line like that. 7 sacks, 9 tackles for loss on 10 tackles. Crazy.
Yeah, that's why it's a virtual simulation. It's a fantasy. We got no backups playing, Eddie. We got Ryan Day Trey Sermon just carrying the ball in the last play of the game. Maybe to try to get a record or whatnot, but we can't get touches for anybody else?
Not after 27-24, right?
Yeah, tune-up game right there.
The school record in real life for sacks in a game is 4. John Simon, Vernon Golston, Bobby Carpenter, and Jason Simmons. If we play football this fall, do you think Jonathan Cooper actually could have a 7-sack game? Is that a real-life thing? You think he could pull that off?
No.
No.
All right, well, shut that down.
That's why we simulate. That's why we have some fun. Even last week, I know we got some blowback, a lot of puzzled or negative comments from fans saying there's no way we'd ever beat Illinois by 3, or just by 3. But that's why it's a video game. That's why you kind of morph into an alternate universe and see what happens. You remember playing as a kid. I would get ready to beat my brother or vice versa in Madden, and one of us would turn the game off at the end because we didn't want it to count. Or you'd be doing a dynasty in college football and you'd about to lose and you'd turn it off and you'd replay the game just so you could have the outcome you wanted. So it doesn't always go the way you want it to the first time around.
Hey, we were looking for video game numbers. We got them this week, right? Over exactly. 600 yards of offense, 700 yards if you include all the returns. And, these guys were just going off this week. Over 300 yards rushing just for Sermon. But how about the day Fields had on the ground with 4 rushing touchdowns? He had more rushing yards himself than he had passing yards in the game.
Yeah, Fields was unbelievable. Ohio State, 51 plays for 639 yards. Rutgers ran 43 plays for 70 yards. Ouch. Adam, you brought up third downs. Last week stunk. 10 of 14. Illinois was able to convert on third downs quite a bit. In this simulation, it was Rutgers 2 of 11 on third down. So that was probably a bit more realistic for some fans' expectations, but certainly a better defensive performance for Ohio State.
Yeah, as the bettors will tell you, everything usually evens out. You can't get too high or too low from one week to the next. You just got to stay the course. And like I said, Greg Schiano is a good coach. Obviously, we had him here at Ohio State for the last 3 years. He had a decade-long run at Rutgers beforehand. Certainly has his work cut out for him again. Like I just, said at the top of the broadcast, 11 offensive coordinators in 11 seasons for Rutgers. I don't care who you are. That's tough, to try to get some traction and get some comfortability. So, the Ohio State defense kind of, had their way like many thought they would. A lot of big-time players on that defense that probably weren't real thrilled with allowing Illinois to convert their last 8 third downs last week. So, you saw a little bit more motivated group this time around.
How about the fact that in real life, Rutgers has lost 21 consecutive Big Ten games? They have not beaten a Big Ten opponent since Maryland in 2017. The only school in conference history to lose more games in a row was Northwestern, 1978 to 1982. They lost 38 consecutive games. I mean, this really is a historic, miserable stretch of football for Rutgers, and it goes back to wondering if that was a good idea to bring them into the conference in the first place. Many would say no. I guess I understand the media market draw, right? You kind of get a school that's generally in New York, but Rutgers really hasn't done a very good job in most sports in the Big Ten so far.
Yeah, and I think it's unfortunate too. You look at Rutgers about 10 years back and all the NFL talent that was produced out of those teams, obviously not playing in the Big Ten at that point, but for me being in New England, you see the McCourty twins, Deron Harmon was there last year, and Greg Schiano's been a very well-respected coach. Even in NFL circles, he almost ended up having the defensive coordinator job with the Patriots before he decided to go back to Rutgers. So I think that the fan base there is hoping that he could turn things around for the football team, but the level of competition is obviously much greater than they were going to face in the Big East.
Yeah, Ray Rice was another guy that came out of Rutgers back there in the late 2000s. They've had some talent, just better talent at other programs in the Big Ten. Rutgers has been close. It's not like they've gotten blown out every game. I mean, they've had some close ones with Nebraska. Some other, like you said, Maryland, they've kind of had some slugfest there. Just can't quite get over the hump. Not sure what they're going to need to do. Just maybe got to find some better players.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's been frustrating. And frankly, I want Rutgers to be good. I want the Big Ten to have a bunch of good teams, even beyond the ones they have. But I mean, in real life, the scores between Ohio State and Rutgers have been miserable. And I realize that they're opposite ends of the spectrum. The one stat that I thought was as telling as anything else, think about it from this perspective. You get guys in Major League Baseball that people refer to as quadruple A players, right? They're really, really good triple A guys. But when they make it to the big leagues, for whatever reason, they just can't succeed. Rutgers, when they have played against Power 5 competition as opposed to non-Power 5 competition, huge discrepancy. The last 4 years, when they've played against non-Power 5 teams, Rutgers has scored an average of 38 points per game. Not bad. Against Power 5 teams, their last 40 games against Power 5 teams, they've scored an average of 10.5 points per game. They're getting routed by big school competition across the country. So they're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat that are FCS schools, or perhaps even some of the mid-majors. But, man, they really haven't been very good when it comes to playing against Power 5 teams. So hopefully Greg Schiano can figure it out. I mean, he had I think it was 68 and 67 was his record in the first 11 years he was there. Hopefully Rutgers is off to a better future. It's going to take a little while, though, I would think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that goes to show you the difference between the competition level and Power 5 conferences as opposed to other conferences, even mid-major conferences in the FBS. And there goes back to the argument why UCF was going undefeated every single year and trying to get into the national championship game and the college football playoff, and just wasn't happening as soon as they were playing those Power 5 schools. The competition level is just totally different. I even hear rumors already about BYU after, the shellacking they put on Navy the first week of this season here in real life. People are saying, wow, this BYU team looks great. What happens if they go undefeated? The competition level just isn't there. Who's BYU playing this year,
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, 2 weeks in the books, and Ohio State 2-0 as everybody kind of expected. One game went according to plan, one game maybe didn't, but 2 wins are 2 wins, and you'll take it. And next week, the Buckeyes play Purdue in week 3 of our next virtual simulation. Again, we're going to continue on with this. We hope that we hope that real football comes back. This is supposed to take the place of real football here for a short while, but obviously we are waiting on pins and needles like everybody else for a Big Ten announcement about when we're going to see the Buckeyes get on the field for real. So hopefully this helps you fill some time and have some fun in the meantime. And we'll look forward to seeing what happens next week with Purdue. Thanks for stopping by, guys.
Thanks, guys.